Hello, I am the Awkward GM Corbin, and today we are going over Curseborne. Thank you all for watching this right now. You can find me at the Awkward GM Corbin on YouTube, and if you search any Curseborne stuff on YouTube, you'll find me. This last week's been a pretty crazy week. I had a little bit of a vacation, so I didn't get much videos in. One is coming down the pike, as it were, hopefully sometime this week. Any case, what we have today on on the platter is we have the Primal manuscript and the Outcast manuscript. Now, people have been talking about this all over on the Onyx Path Discord, so if you're not part of that, you can check it out. You probably heard about it through about this stream through that. Also, if you haven't already, Firstborn is still backing right now. And double checking that I have covered everything I need to cover in regards to what's currently going on. Oh, we had a lot of stuff going on in the Monday meeting notes. We had there was a release this week. There's always a release every Wednesday. It's going to be tomorrow. There is charm cards. Exalted Essence charm cards are going to be on DriveThruRPG. Any case, let's get on to the show, as it were. We have here the Primal one. I'll do the Primal one first, since that's the latest one, and I imagine people are chomping at the bit to get most of this information. So let's begin. Now I need to put up a privacy filter because I am not allowed to show everything. That's the case may be. You can follow along with me if you are. If you already backed the project, even at $5, you can get what is currently what I'm currently going over. Any case, primals. Let's begin. I am not your friend. I am not your sister. I am just a curse like you. Just like you, there's a creature inside me that loves to hunt, snap, and bite. So if you know what's good for you, you will quit with the whining and listen to what I'm telling you. Pass me one of those if you're going to smoke. Oh shit, let me do it. My hands are shaking. Look, I know what you're going through. It's not cool. I'm gonna skip a little bit through this and get to the basics then. Primal 101. Let's get covered before we head back to class. Lunch breaks only so long, and I don't want to be reamed out by Smith for turning up to French lessons un petard. The way the older Primal like to tell it, there's a lot of origin stories. Like Spider-Man, except we are wild and varied enough that most of them are partly true. The best one I heard was how a mother years and years ago was struggling to feed her children. She tried foraging, she tried hunting, but life was shit and she had no fire. She had no tools. Her children were dying, but this story doesn't get all grave of the fireflies. Oh god. Do not. My dad gave me a copy of Grave of the Butterflies when I was like right when it came out in English, so I was pretty young at that time. I love all that Ghibli stuff. Anyway, a man comes to her door and tells her she's on his land and needs to leave it. She can't pay. He demands the payment there and then. This woman, she has nothing. This man, he's what's called a family head for the hungry. More on them later. He's a special kind of asshole. She begs, pleads, offers up what she has, which isn't much. He offers her a deal, but no one knows what the deal was because it's the one thing she won't do. Meatloaf style. He says her kids will starve if she won't accept. He gives her until morning and walks off. That night, the woman prays to everything, the trees, the rivers, the rocks, the beasts in the forest. She says anything but him, only for the wolf to answer her. Was it an actual wolf named Laika or a wolf raging inside her? Whatever it doesn't give her money or food. It gives her the elemental strength to fight back. This thing, it also offers her a deal. Let it into her heart and she's golden. When the man turns up the following morning with his muscle, she becomes a monster. He begs and pleads and offers up what he has. While she knows deep down she could stop, the creature urges her on, fueled by years of being shit on by men like him. She eats his heart clean out of his chest. It doesn't end there. She still doesn't have food, and the kids are hungry. So she tells them to eat the man and his friends. Oh, God. Okay, and this is the story of how the primal might have started. I like to say that a lot of this is a bit of hyperbole, a bit of oral tradition. At least that's my take on it. I have heard that, like, even at the beginning of this story, they do say that this is just one of the tales that is told, and the one that, in particular, Izzy Plummer, the narrator for this section, is telling or likes as well. And we get into the shifting skins. I'm not going to go over every section of this of the primals, but I will be going over the main things like the families and the inheritances and things of that nature, because fluff is very nice to sit back and read when you're about to go to bed. Though you could have this on a second monitor or something and listen to it while going to sleep. I don't judge. So basically we have here is anyone who's a primal has shape shifting as part of their thing. Got this a couple of years ago. It's very hard to read this in the voice a little bit, because I feel like you get a lot from just reading it yourself. But let's get into a little bit stuff. So here we go. Elvis says our predecessors bought a power that saved their lives and gave them dominance over others, not to rule but to survive. Now, I don't know about that. Since then, I've met some primals who are a little too keen on lording it over non-primals. Elvis named our provenance as the creature. But if you ask me, it's just a fun name for someone none of us have ever met. The creature makes us faster, stronger, and longer lived than those without a curse. Lucky us. The creature, in all of its unpredictability, in all of is unpredictable. It's like something from a lost world left behind before humans learned to write. It's feral, it's cruel, it's easily provoked. My guess is the creature is who we really are once you remove all the human stuff. Or we're a vehicle for it, letting it reach out into the modern world, or where its children varied and wild, I don't know. You won't either, but you'll do your best and you'll survive. As simple as that. There's a little letter here that's done in character. Many animals run together. I mentioned vampires before, that's not exactly what they are, and then there are devils and ghosts. Shit, there's a lot to go through. And then it goes into detail about how they view the outcasts, the hungry, the dead, sorcerers, and other primals. Primal damnation. The nature of our curse, the uncontrollable shifts. We all go through them. You probably woke up one morning with more eyes than the night before, or teeth as long as your arm. I don't know your deal. That's just one part. You get emotionally stirred up and something changes about you. For me, if I get too angry, too sad, hell, even turned on, yeah, that's a thing. I've got to fight to not feel my fingers burst into claws, or my jaw snap, and my finger teeth sharpen into fangs. Then there's the ears and the fur and the fucking tail. Some of them you can conceal with a bit of effort, other parts are less easy. Emotional peaks trigger the shift, but they're only pieces of the overall whole unless something big has just awoken the creature. If that happens, all bets are off. Your whole body will shift just like the first time. There's another part. We're primal. We're more than just shapeshifters. We are ancient predators as well, and predators need to hunt. The dead whine about their urges, the hungry moan about theirs, but we just fucking get it done. Get on with it. We have to. Repress it too long and the creature bursts out when you least want it to. There's one rule. The creature expects you to abide by. The prey has to be able to fight back. This is where the difference between hunting and murder is decided on. So, we get down into the primal systems, the nitty gritty. I haven't seen, so Lava Bean says, this sounds a lot like the transformation the protagonist goes through in the movie Altered States. I haven't seen that one, but this does remind me a bit of Ginger Snaps a little, where they get like very like aggressive and they get more emotional. But maybe that's just how I remember Ginger Snaps. It's been a while. So we have the primal are a lineage cursed to prey on others, never possess full control of their bodily form. They are an ancient line of hunters, each tied to a different form of beast or mutation. This section contains the rules. Now we have the wild form. Wild form, as far as we know, and like as talking with the developers, it's basically it is a monstrous form. You're not having multiple forms here where you can turn into an animal. I think they said one of the spells might be able to turn you into an animal, but I'm not sure about that. So your character can transform into their wild form as a reflexive action by bleeding when cursed die. You can transform in silence due to the pain and agony. So you have to do a stamina or resolve action to stop yourself from howling. The shift always turns the primal into a vessel for the creature, which differs from family to family. So this is where you have the wolf creature for the Get of Laika or the dog creature. You have the domestic cat or panther for the Sphinx. House spiders or other spiders for the 8 hands. And yes, trigger warning for spider and arachnophobia. Part of me feels like there should be a bit of, maybe I'll put in an errata form thing, which we can do where we say what we'd like to see added in or changed a bit. I might put that in as a suggestion. It might not be accepted, but as something that I have players with arachnophobia, and it's something that I would really like to not have to remove that family from the game for that reason. While transformed, a curse can communicate as humans might, though with abnormal vocal qualities. And solve problems, but their physical shape may restrict them from doing so with subtlety and can limit the areas they can access. People who see a primal in their wild form react as any human might to a primitive beast. So you have the cops, scientists, everything. When you're in the wild form, you get a +1 enhancement to all your physical actions that stacks. +1 to difficulty on influence, or +1 difficulty on influence actions other than intimidate, and a +1 enhancement that stacks to defensive actions. Now, I will say that the defensive action enhancement is really good because very few abilities, I think, grant you that, and it just makes you tougher to hit. A little bit more difficult to deal with as far as the character goes. Your wild form does impose a minor complication on attack actions when on any non-attack actions when challenged. If not bought off, the creature will dictate your next action. The moderate complication is on non-attack actions when a bondmate has been hurt or humiliated, the creature will dictate your next action. So these added complications just make it more so that you're going to get involved in combat or have some issues trying to do non-combat stuff. If the player does not wish to give up control, they can reject the creature's influence, but it will grant an enhancement on the next action taken against them. This is something that's a lot more in Storypath Ultra is doing, where essentially, if you don't want to lose player agency, the story guide will get a +1 enhancement for taking actions against you and things of that nature. It's a really good alternative, in my opinion, because a lot of the time we're going to have I find that there's issues with players not feeling great when you take their agency away from them or make it so that their character does something terrible. That's where you have like a session 0 or something, and you can talk to your players about it if they feel bad, if they feel like it might not be great experience or maybe a negative play experience. Primal Sense is an ability they also have, which is basically you get to at the start of any scene, you may bleed a curse die to ask the story guide one of the following questions. And these are questions like, what's the danger nearby? Who's more powerful than me? Stuff of that nature. And you can use it to try and give yourself a little bit of a benefit on if you're being followed, probably, or things of that nature. It's kind of like a common... There was another power that's like that, which is like... can't remember. I think it's something I saw in one of the podcasts that they did. A leap of logic, I think, where you can ask the GM questions. Now, the lineage path, I won't go into detail about that. You're going to have your path skills that you get access to, where you can allocate your skill points to. You get your major path attributes and your minor path attributes. So you're going to get a lot more like physical stuff than you are going to get the mental and social stuff. And then you have your major path inheritance, which I will go over. If you take your lineage as your major path, you are going to basically become a exceptional hunter and tracker that can't miss the smallest clues. When taking an action to hunt or track a target, you add your primal's entanglement as hits that apply before the roll. So that means they're automatic successes. Additionally, the first time in a session a primal gains a piece of evidence, they may gain a second without spending anything. So gets you more evidence. And they did say in one of their blog posts that they were revamping or expanding upon the investigation rules, which is pretty good for Curseborne specifically. Here's their damnation. And their damnation is pretty powerful because not only do damnations have a negative side effect, but they also have a resolution condition. And their resolution condition is probably the easiest one to complete if you're doing a lot of combats. Let's just go over the downside first. You have the feeling of the predator to snarl, snap, lash out, and exert their primacy, no matter your surroundings. This may take on the form of mental belittlement, social intimidation, or physical assault. Anytime the character's curse die reaches 0, they need to exert themselves as the force of nature takes over. The character shifts into their wild form, heavily influenced by the creature, and suffers a minor complication on all actions, so even attack actions. And if not bought off, the creature will dictate the actions instead, and she cannot gain curse die until this is resolved. Now, how do you resolve this? Well, you must complete an action that imposes either the aggravated wound, bleeding, destroyed reputation, taken out, or terrified status effects. So these are aggravated wound, bleeding, and taken out are combat ones. Taken out is specifically done whenever you knock someone out in a combat. So even hitting someone with 1 injury level or health or whatever they're calling it, putting them to 0 takes them out. That gets you a curse die, and you gain curse die when this happens, even if your damnation isn't active. So you can start building up curse die by going through an entire gang of people, which is powerful and potent, but only really if you're going up against a specific type of scenario. Destroyed reputation seems to be mostly focused on social stuff. I'm excited about that because at the very least, if you're playing a primal and you're not in a combat situation and you've just gone down to your 0 curse die, now it's like, okay, you need to like completely rip into someone to get that curse die back, to get a curse die so you're not in your damnation. Because the creature is going to dictate your actions. And if you're not going to take someone out, the creature definitely is. And maybe if the creature is more of a social one, it could be even more like nasty. Think of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, perhaps saying things that might be true that you don't want to say to your friends because you know it'll get under their skin. That type of stuff. Now, we'll continue on because I'm a little bit like intrigued by how this could all work in different ways. You have the torments, which are ways to gain momentum. You're going to pick a personal torment at character creation. If I recall correctly from like the Ashcan and the character creation videos that Danielle put out a while ago. But additionally, you're going to have a selection of one of two primal torments. There's Elemental Fury, where you're hyper-focused on the biggest, most deadliest target in the area. And then there's Predator's Color, where you need to lash out wildly, verbally or physically, especially against people who are close to your character. Whenever your character appears weak, you can trigger this torment. So there are triggers for this that you can choose to trigger. You're not forced to. Now, we do have the variety of families that are going down here for the primals. First up, we have the 8 hands, so trigger warning for spiders, though I'm not going to go too much into it. They do refer to themselves as the Ocho, or Ochos, which is kind of awesome, and it reminds me a lot of Dodgeball, of ESPN The Ocho. And then The Ocho. We have... You'll have to excuse my working while I'm talking, mate. I've got a lot of things on right now. Understand? All right. I'm not doing an Australian accent. This is a very Australian reading if I read this. I know you're unhappy. You're caught in my trap, but it's high time you listen to the little guy, all right? You were being dodgy, yeah. I caught you sneaking around my yard, and you see no Ocho appreciates intruders. We tend to eat them. So stop screaming and start listening. Spiders ain't evil. It fucks me right off that we're portrayed that way. We're protective, maybe a little paranoid, but fuck, who wouldn't be in this economy, right? The web is real. We Ocho talk to each other. And I'm truncating a lot of this, so apologies if I'm skipping around. Now, we're not interested in buying, but how did I... Some of my friends... Okay, so some of them a little electronic stuff. Okay, so basically this one is they use a web of connections to get stuff like equipment, listening devices, and things of that nature. Cursed for keeping secrets. The wolves got cursed for their anger, the cats for their selfishness, but us, somehow we became spiders because we were too bloody secretive. How about that? There's a mystery out there, maybe more than one. When we're not wrapping fuckheads like you in our finest silk, we're trying to get to the bottom of what we are. And this means that they're a little bit more about investigating the curse. Gang pack, we Ocho are more of a gang than a family, though if you hold with all the blood oaths, we're more a family than a gang. Mom and dad suck. The oldest Ocho become bloody parasites, don't they? And that's parasites with a capital P, so maybe that means that it's like it's definitely like either a group or something. Yeah, they won't think twice about eating their own if it makes their web stronger. You won't see us coming. People think that just because they can't see us, we're more static and controlled than hides than the rest of us. Out of sight, out of mind, right? No, we just know the best places to hide when we hunt. So they are very secretive and stealthy, but they are still just as ferocious. It's better to create than destroy. the properties steal the tech we play. We're engineers and mechanics. The rest of them need to make sure they leave enough for us to play construction sets. So they're more about building relationships, more about like being a little bit more crafty. I do need to go back because there is a section I missed, but we'll get onto that in a second. Others call us were spiders and the formal 8 hands. So these are less derogatory terms. Within the family of the other mates, the cluster or ocho, mostly you'll know someone by their name, but remember, a parasite's a parasite. Do not dignify your elders with respect. They don't deserve it. This is something that is different from the 8 hands than the other primals from what I've seen. Basically, the 8 hands seem to have an antagonistic relationship with their elders compared to the other primals and other families we've seen in the dead and the outcast. We use our magic to guess it, weave webs, physical and relating to information. You want to hide something? We have a spell for it. You want to trap someone? Come to us. You want a mystery unraveled? Well, if your sorcerer friends aren't free, come strum my string. Now, they do have a major path inheritance. The web you weave is your lifeblood to information. Once per scene, you can use any contact that belongs to anyone you have a bond with as though they were your own contact. And this also ignores complications for tapping a contact more than once a scene, which is awesome. However, you can only use it once per scene, so I don't know if I guess if your friend contact activates it, you get to activate it as well. Anyway, we do have some motifs here. Your physical attunements can be used reflexively at longer range bands. You can reduce the cost of liminal attunements, and then you get a +1 enhancement if your target hasn't acted this round. So there doesn't help a lot on the attunement stuff for the motifs because we don't really know what the spells are yet, but it's interesting stuff. Let's go into there was something that got mentioned in the previous, I guess not previous, it was someone mentioned in the Discord that there are things called orgs that get talked about in this, and I'm just trying to make sure that I cover that without without like missing out. Okay, here we go. So we do have orgs. You're gonna need friends. Friends keep you keep you in one mental peace. Sometimes I just want to chill, get high, go see a horror movie, whatever. Now, this is from the intro again, by the way. And then there are the orcs, the ones who want to help or study primals in a way that doesn't involve cutting us up most of the time. You've got the faculty. They're a network of teachers and scientists who met over Reddit when one of them posted something about a student behaving like a wolf. It wasn't me before you asked. Turned out a few concerned teachers had similar experiences and shared stories. Turned out that a lot of teachers actually care for their students and started a support and study group for us. Now there's the Proteus cult. I don't know much about these New Agers other than they look like something out of Midsummer and they get murder happy when someone's threatening us. That would be fine, but I think they only answer to old shifters. In other words, if you find a Proteus freak on your doorstep, they could be there to help you, or they could be there to teach you a lesson on behalf of Pop Pop. There's an org calling themselves Earth's Rangers, which sounds a little bit like something out of a comic book. I'll leave that one as a little teaser if you want to go look in it on yourself. It's on page... I have a page number here, right? Yeah, page 6. So if you're on page 6 of the manuscript for the primal, you can get a little bit about that. We have next the Get of Lyco, which I'm not going to cover as fully as the Ocho because we sort of had the blog post about them before. Um, they're all about the anger stuff. They unleash the lightning. Thunder comes before the lightning. Actually, lightning comes before the thunder. Thunder is sound and travels slower than lightning. Any case, pain is pain. Claim and protect your territory. Howl like no one's listening. Among ourselves, we call ourselves lichens or werewolves. Like I said earlier, some of the older family members call themselves Bisclaveret, which is a little bit of a mouthful, but I really recommend doing your best to avoid them. We use our magic to detect people and creatures interfering with our territory, make ourselves better hunters. The pack is family, so if we can work a spell that increases the strength of our bonds and heals the sick and dying, we'll do it. They do get... Oh, and I forgot to mention the Ochos, the 8-hand secret spells. They get 2. They get Camouflage and Tenebrous Sight. I don't know which of the other groups have that. I think one of them might be Hungry. I'm not sure. In any case, secret spell for the Lichens is Bombardment. And then you have your Major Path Inheritance. If you choose the Lichens to be your Major Path, you will get the Brutal and Wounding tags on your fists, on your unarmed attacks. Wounding, I think, gives you access to a stunt that causes your characters to bleed, as long as it's still the same as in the Story Path Ultra Core manual preview that we had before, and Brutal makes it so critical hits are easier to purchase. Physical Attainment, it reduces the cost of the Shockwave trick, which allows you to... this is the motif. It reduces the cost of the Shockwave trick, which allows you to hit more targets with a single attack. There's another thing with Physical Attunement where you can use them as a reflexive action, so long as they aren't attacks. And then there's a thing about Elemental Attunement, where you can apply lightning to all your mundane attacks for a scene. Lichens, I feel, are very more combat focused than the Ocho were. But I do think they will, like, they're gonna have a little bit of an issue compared to the other families I've seen, where the other families seem to reduce the cost for certain abilities and spells, whereas they are more... they get up. The Lichens get better Major Path Inheritance. There isn't really balance in the same way as other games might see it, but I feel like we can sort of extrapolate that, like, this is a perfectly fine trade-off for them. Now we have the Hides. These are your Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They turn into inhuman monsters. Before we had the spiders with the 8 hands, we had the Get of Lyca, which are wolves or dogs, and now the Hides are inhuman. Or I say inhuman, they're like human plus kind of giant monstrous creatures. Freak, monster, psychopath, I've heard it all before. What you're looking at isn't some bizarre experiment gone wrong. Heavens no. It's a carefully planned experiment gone right. The ignorant think we Hides are the next step forward for humanity, but the truth is a lot simpler. The family head we'll call Dr. Jekyll went backward, picking out all the strongest, smartest, most capable traits and applying them to us. We welcome this curse. The side effects, well, they're unfortunate, but no experiment is without teething pains. Now, speaking of teething pains. Now, when I think of the Hides, especially from this intro, I really think of them as similar to sorcerers, where they sort of welcomed the curse upon them. We'll get into the sorcerers next week, but like from the preview stuff of the sorcerers, they were like, hey, we could get magical powers if we sort of, like, curse ourselves. And they didn't realize the curse was going to be as strong as it was. But the Hides are definitely a bit crazy in that regard, I feel. In any case, So we have there were when some of the developers were talking in the Discord, they did mention that stuff like there's a bit of the deadly sins are a little bit like strung in through the different families, some of them, and there are elemental elements where, like, for instance, the Get of Laika was the element of lightning or thunder, and the hides are sort of like fire because of Prometheus stealing the fire and stuff like that. In any case, hubris brought us here, so pride. Whereas the Get of Laika was anger, and the Eight Hands might have been envy. In any case, we are young. A century and change of existence put us in a rare company. Compared to the antiquated beasts we call cousins, we're the youngest family, but that means we're the most capable of adapting to the modern world. Experimentation is key. You need to test your limits, push them, exceed them. It's the only way to find your true self. There's a void inside. Uh, do, 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 do. This should be euphoria, but it feels like a passing fire through the pores in our skin. Superiority is an illusion. We are the best suited to lead, but where our cousins experience harmony when tapping into the primeval veins, we struggle. Okay. Bloody sadistic streak. The desire to torture is inimitable. I am bad at words. Maybe this is the wrong forum to discuss it, but you don't feel it as well. The joy in humiliation, despair, and pain. Now, there is something about Dr. Jekyll. Hides like you and I can stop the transformative process. We can revert to a dull mundanity if we want. Of course, you'd have to capture a young Hyde, experiment on them, drain their life, take their dignity, and steal their accomplishments, creating a false face for yourself. False face is a Jekyll, and many elders do this. So once you get really high up in entanglement, I guess, you could just grab one of your younger like grandson or like cousin or nephew or something and put their face on, and now you're them. There's a thing about coming in peace. I'm going to skip that for the moment. There's definitely some talk of the various different groups we have here, how they react to the to the hides, such as calling them freaks and cavemen. Within their family, they call each other doctor, professor, and the like. We use our magic to alter our bodily states to hideous and destructive ends. Experiment with what we can change through spellcraft as well as science. Now, won't go over the details of their path stuff, except for their inheritance and their secret spells. They have foul humors as a secret spell. I don't know much about that. That sounds maybe like a dead or a hungry thing. And then, when not in your wild form as a major path inheritance, you may bottle up one of your spells by activating and bleeding one additional curse die. You may then activate the power in the future for free as a reflexive action, but only if you aren't in your wild form. You may only have one bottled spell at a time, and then you also get the wrecking tag on all your attacks when you are in wild form. So it's a little bit of a twofer on that one. We do have some motifs, some enhancement to liminal attunement. You can get a second bottled spell if it's from the mutable form Maelstrom. And then with physical attunement, you can apply the dread effect if you do some stuff. Now, as far as the ones go for the primals, they're my favorite. We do need to speed things up a bit. We have the raptors going up. Raptors are primeval. They are the feathered serpents, and what it's been talked about, it seems like they are both lizard-like and have feathers. Ancient Mysteries called to them. They are one of the families that does the most research into the curses. Respect everything. Being cunning and duplicitous was their undoing and why they got cursed. We use magic to mentally castrate and cripple our prey, whether through fear or other more subtle methods. Our magic enables us to lash out fast without warning. Our spells call on elements in ways too primordial for other primal to understand. This is where they are more motif around air. They have the personal predator secret spell, and their major path inheritance. Once per scene, you may pull on a curse as a simple action to steal a curse from someone else in a scene. Gain a number of curse die up to your entanglement. If the victim is supernatural, this provokes a clash. Now, this seems to be to steal a curse from someone else gets you the curse die, so you can steal maybe like a minor curse from someone, like maybe they, I don't know, forgot to brush their teeth and had bad breath or something. I'm not sure. Something to maybe ask about in a feedback form. They have some stuff with allowing them to target more people with support attunements. They can do elemental for a motif, another motif for elemental stuff, and another motif that just gives them an enhancement on spells, which is nice. Attacking spells. I'm still trying to get the hang of the Raptors. They are not one I'm used to, and not one that I can really have like a media attachment to it, as far as like I know werewolves in media, so I'm easy to attach to those. Next up, we have the spawn of Vodnik. They live by the water. They are based off of, I think it's a Czech or Slavic folklore creature that basically like lives in the water, drowns people, and steals expensive things and items and keeps them in a hoard. As recent as all that, Forefather founded the line, made a deal with a primordial aquatic beast, so they say. They say he was cursed with curiosity and greed. Greed, a sin. And also they're water-based, so that's probably a water elemental thing. We sing songs and tell tales. We are skilled hunters, and we are many. They are also the only primal family that is strictly family line through blood relations, I think. The family calls itself Vodnik, as it is right and proper. We don't have to like what Forefather Vodnik did to recognize its true name. It's our family name, though there are regional variants. We're all cousin families, and we can't fault them for name changes. Technically, I guess being part of like Asia, like the Eurasian area, means that they're more prone to be able to have spread out across a lot more countries because they're more like centralized. We use magic to seek out and obtain ancient artifacts we covet. They also have it's greed, so coveting is perfectly fine, even though that's more like an envy thing. They do like mysteries and relics and things of that nature. They get the spell Flowing Movement as a secret spell. Their major path inheritance allows them to find what people need and allows you to trade them for their fondest wishes. It gives you an ability to you apply your wealth bonus to all influence actions against this person. Oh, you gain wealth equal to your entanglement when making a deal. This is a really good one. I wish Outcasts had something similar because they kind of make deals as well. And then in your wild form, you can breathe underwater. I did want to check in the wild form for the raptors. Can they fly? No, they cannot. At least not in here. Maybe they get an edge or something specific for that. The Sphinx wants to relax. Pharaoh Caffrey was a naughty boy. It was his naughtiness, his lust, shall we say, that had him cursed by the cats with which he surrounded himself. And now that curse passes on and on. Look for beauty. A lot of stuff about here. The rich, the famous. I could have as much fun hunting through Central Park, scaring him back to Iowa. That gallery is mine, princess. It's a trick fitting in. Sometimes you must lower yourself to rub coats with others. Wearing a crown doesn't make you a pharaoh. Yes, I feel the aged werecat elders sneaking around outside looking a way to truncate my fabulousness so that they can brandish some cheap imitation. We call them Tybalts, and they want to be worshipped like gods and their supposed ascendancy. And my parents tell me I should be serving a prince of cats. Endless creativity is something that's also about them. It should be noted that they don't squabble as frequently with the Get of Leica, even though they are opposing animal types. They do fight over territory, but in the end, we respect what we earn and what they earn. People call us proud. We're simply Sphinx. We're a pride with pride. I love pride. And then they have the stuff about the Tybalts again. To make our lives better, to hoard treasures we deserve, to treat others properly, that's what we use magic for. We're also born hunters. They have a secret spell called Overload. You know exactly how to rub people the right way or exactly the wrong way. Once per scene, you may choose an individual in a scene and temporarily increase your bond rating. You may use the bond enhancement from that bond to apply to any action you take, even if they aren't helping you. We do have some motifs, but there is a little bit of an issue that a couple of the motifs are missing what attunement they're for. At the moment, all I can think of is that they're part of the emotional attunement, because the one that we do have is the emotional attunement you can use to apply the crestfallen status effect. But that's it. They do get some spells, and I'll try and quickly go off of them. Mutable form allows them to alter their appearance to be more animalistic, such as their voice. The aspect of the beast, they can adopt animalistic traits and features. Precise transformation allows them to alter a specific part of their body. And then there's impenetrable skin, where they can give themselves armor and thick hides. And then Force of Nature we've seen in the Ash Can, which allows them to add an elemental tag to their attacks during a scene. We have Depthless Fury, which gives them Berserker's Focus, which allows them to ignore injuries. Master of the Beasts allows them to summon a range of beasts to help them. Pack Leader allows your allies to ignore hazardous area effects. Predator's Roar, you can compel your allies to make attacks. Scent of Danger, create an aura that tells people you're too dangerous to mess with. So you have stuff to mess with, stuff socially. The Stranger, this one allows you to be unseen nature, control emotions and mysteries. Disturbance, disrupt social situations to create chaos. Hidden things, spot what is concealed. Nightmare, you can lock onto a target into a state of tortured unconsciousness. Silver Tongue makes it easier for you to manipulate others, and unreality allows tricks onlookers into think they see something that's not real. And that's what we've got. I could use some water right now. I can't really. I forgot to grab a glass. But we'll keep on going. And just to show you that I'm moving on to the next thing. Let's see. Hopefully you can see that. I did adjust. There we go. So we do have the Outcasts. I love the artwork for both the Primal and the Outcasts. Artwork is beautiful. I love both of them. In case. It's been a while since I did I read through the Outcasts, so apologies. Oh. I thought I was showing it to you, but I wasn't, because I apologize. I'm not going to go through it. You can see the artwork shifting around. Do you remember the waves of the Purple Sea breaking gently on the shore? Of course you can't. And anyone who says they can is a liar. I should know. I'm Cassie and I'm a defense lawyer. Yeah, get the defense lawyer jokes out of your system. The demonic lawyer jokes out of your system now. We want to believe the cities of gold, silver, exotic materials, birth from impossible pyramids and stations beyond all human understanding, but in the end, we all know what's happening right here, right now. We can daydream about rivers of the underworld all we want, but what that's what they are, dreams. And it hurts because deep down we know we came from somewhere else. Discovering ourselves and taming our intense power is infinitely deep rabbit hole you can't stop yourself from diving down. We're good at lying to ourselves. Of course, most of us start thinking we're human. It's only a matter of time until someone in your family was cast out from another place, another somewhere. We call this somewhere the outside. I guess the inside is Earth. We don't even know which part of the outside we've been banished from. This world, with its smiling liars and relentless judging, is the prison to which our entire kind is sentenced. We didn't even get a fair trial. It's a generational sentence. Somewhere in the dim mists of supernatural history, a great-great-great-great-grandparent was kicked out of a silver city or glowing abyss for loving a human too hard or providing succor to a secret enemy. In any case, this is why we are outcasts. Some people have said if you're an outcast, you can't be an outcast who came from these places before. I feel like that's a little bit of a exaggeration. I think there should be outcasts personally that were once an outsider who got exiled, maybe had their memory erased or something, or left with just like the feeling of being kicked out and stuff like that. In any case, it doesn't help there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of entities, powers, divinities, or whatever within the outside. It'd be a fool's errand to try and name them all, and the outcast can be connected to any one of them. Instead of a catch-all term, outsider or archon, the Greek meaning ruler, to refer to those beings in control of the outside. Of course, in control is a fluid term. Outsider and archon aren't exactly synonymous. To be pedantic, archons are a subsection of outsider. An outsider is simply someone who lives on the outside. Not going to get too much into detail about that. Moments passed, don't worry. Community service. This is stuff about the outcasts basically having to fight the outside in the battlegrounds and things of that nature. We'll get into more of that detail with the battleground angels. Outcasts are a lineage of treacherous divinity and spiritual betrayal. We are humanity turned up to 11, everyday people seen through a holographic filter that happens to be on fire. Magic passed on to exiles from the outside can be summed up as glory. All outcasts can automatically see each other's true forms. Superlatively beautiful humans, snake people, silhouettes made of light, and other things, stranger things. Let's get into the outcast systems because we have 7 minutes. Slipping off the mask. By bleeding a cursed eye, you can show your alien nature, outcast nature to other people. You gain an automatic hit to influence actions. So this is basically like you get a automatic hit, so you don't need to roll successes to add in enhancement and stuff like that nature. An outcast can enter battleground they know about as an action by bleeding one cursed eye. If the character wants to quietly enter the battleground, they can bleed 2 cursed eye instead. You can only do this to ones that you know about. The first time passing into a new battleground will require special ritual, but subsequent entries only require the desire to go there. So you can bleed an additional curse die for a group of up to 9 other people to come with you, which is good because sometimes people get groups that are big like that. Dying in the battleground is kind of interesting, and people have been making the mistake of saying battlefield all the time because I think battlefield's a more common term now than battleground. If you die, you lose your connections to other people, but you lose all positive and negative bonds as a consequence of being resurrected in a battleground. But you still die normally in real worlds and other places, apparently, that are liminalities. So that's interesting. Some people do think that the outcast stuff isn't as powerful, but I do think the automatic success on social roles isn't something to be looked down at, since it's an automatic hit. It is a lot better than just an enhancement. For their major path inheritance, whenever the outcast uses slipping off the mask, you do not need to bleed curse die. In addition, you also automatically see the true form of another outcast by bleeding a curse die. I'm not sure how useful some of that will be, but I definitely see not having to spend curse die to do slipping off the mask to be great. Damnation. As much as they might want to be, outcasts aren't complete human. Anytime their character's curse die pool reaches 0, everyone in the nearby area gets a momentary glimpse of what inhuman creature they are. It quickly fades, but the effect lingers. This imposes the enraptured status effect on everyone except other outcasts who witness it. Now, to resolve this, you need to form another connection with someone who is a mundane person, improving a bond or creating a bond with a mundane human. And then there's some additional stuff on that. You have the torments of higher thought, which basically you become self-absorbed, ignore social obligations and stuff by choosing to use her friends and families as pawns and assets in a grander game against the Archons. And then Show of Force is basically doing stuff overkill and doing a lot of collateral damage as far as your torments go. Now we do have the various families. I'm going to speed through this a bit more. I keep running out of time and I apologize. Now, I apologize for that. Now, the Battleground Angels have a lot of stuff about their mother being oh no, that was the Wardens. I apologize. The Battleground Angels base themselves off of the Abrahamic magical traditions of archangels by Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, Uriel. They're much more like an army because they're at war with the outside and will go into battlegrounds and fight a lot. We call ourselves brother, sister, paladin for those who dislike the more gender-specific titles. Our magic is flavored by our choice of archmage. You have offensive magic, healing, defensive, and staying on the move. All Battleground Angels magic surrounds the user's hands with a warm golden glow. They have the Impenetrable Skills secret spell, and they have the major path inheritance of teamwork actions involving you and at least one other curse are made at -1 difficulty to bring it at a minimum of 0, which is awesome. They get stuff about physical attunements and liminal attunements for their motifs. And we go on to the Chimera. The Chimera are basically humans who tried to get into the outside, but ended up getting cursed for their hubris. They do not look human at all because they are now like cursed with this stuff. And they're not considered outcasts by a lot of the outcasts because they're pariahs of the pariahs because they don't sort easily into the angelic or demonic. They're just sort of inhuman. Once upon a time, deep in the mists of history, a group of Egyptian mortician priests sought to end chaos and injustice by elevating humanity to godhood. And this is where they got cursed. Queer scientists and disruptors, getting a little bit of Elon Musk vibes there. Magic comes mostly from our inhuman bodies. We have wings, extendable joints, a tenacious relationship with gravity. Due to our eldritch nature, however, Chimera also have souls that can be pulled apart into many pieces and extracted from our bodies. Chimeras remove part of her soul by turning that shard into an object useful in studies. This comes up in their major path inheritance. Their secret spell, though, is Envenom. They can bleed a curse die to create a object that gives them an enhancement to related tasks and 2 relevant tags, so you can make the tags for specific things. It can be reabsorbed back into the character, but it can also turn to dust, and the character will have to make a new one. They have stuff about summoning manifestation, liminal, and physical tag attunement stuff. We have the Nephilim, who are like your more demonic types of people. They are all about information gathering, and they know the most information about the outside and liminal spaces. They are also ones that seem to get talked about as being a little bit more authoritarian than the others, because they are like information brokers and things of that nature, as well as guides for other outcasts. Magic is passed down from parent to child, and only rarely through adoption or marriage. Likely candidates are expected to have their own formidable magic skill. They're very insular, similar to how the spawn of Vodnik are. They have a special secret spell of Portal, which I'm guessing allows them to teleport to places. And then you have the Nephilim, know the secret as their inheritance, major path inheritance. You may bleed a curse die and quietly duck into and out of a nearby battleground, appearing in a location in the real world they personally know about on the next round. They do not manifest their true form during this transportation and don't need to perform a ritual to bring others with them. So that's pretty powerful, pretty potent. Next up, we have the Keepers of the Broken Vine. They're a lot more druidic. I think people have been comparing them to dryads. They tend to protect life. They are more embedded into reality and the real world, trying to make it their own paradise. We specialize in elemental and plant magic, and we create powerful concoctions out of fruits we grow. They've got the secret spell photosynthesis. I'm bad at pronouncing things. You have a -1 difficulty for their major path inheritance to identify, cure, and craft poisons. You can also spend an action to create something, a medicine or something with a +3 enhancement, and the concoction spoils at the end of the scene, so it's only temporary. They have stuff with the elemental and physical attunements, as well as one ability that makes physical attunements into elemental attunements, which is awesome. I wonder if you can maybe get extra motifs and things. We have the Munificents, which are your genie type characters, which are I'm not going to go too much into detail about them, but their whole thing is we have a special talent for manipulation and control. Our magic focuses on granting wishes, controlling minds, and presenting the face the public wants to see. They have the secret spells of body double and transmutation, and their major path inheritance allows them to do the Lucifer reveal your most desires. So you can ask people what they wish for and things of that nature. League of the Hidden Crossroads are specifically demon coded. They are not typically born into the League. They are somewhat of a pyramid scheme, which I think there's like a pyramid scheme in every single one of these damn factions. In any case, they make deals with people as opposed to granting wishes. Our magic is enforcing pacts, making rules, legislating regulations, We make ourselves into what we need us to be, perfecting our forms and helping you along. We can make your wildest dreams come true, and are good part about having, and that's a good part about having magic. They have stuff with emotional, psychic, and physical attunements. And that's it for the Outcasts. We do have their spells. They have the Mayhem spells. Brutality gives them more power advantage. Devil's Bargain forces someone to accept a hard bargain in the influence action stuff. Implacable Pursuer allows them to hunt a specific target. Supernal Aim increases the distance of their range attacks. And Swift Defense increases their speed and reflexes. They do have summoning. They're allowed to summon imp-shaped constructs. They can surround themselves in a burning halo. They can improve their clothing to make them like armor or resistant to damage. They can create useful tools out of nothing. Weapon master skill. They can improve weapons that are in your possession. And then their physical perfection stuff is stuff I kind of like of their like repertoire of stuff. The summoning like weapons and tools is also pretty cool. But physical perfection, they can extend their voice with the Archonic voice, and gives it extra abilities. We've seen that one in the Ashcan. Bulletproof Heart makes them more resistant to manipulation. Executive function, multitask without sacrificing performance. Flowing movement, they can move over impossible surfaces, and then many faces, they can change their features. I think that's more like a shape-shifting thing, but I'm not sure to what extent. I feel like the primals also had some shape-shifting stuff. In any case, that's pretty much it. I hope you got a good sense of what's going on. David Diceblade 444, thank you for getting here. I'm sorry you didn't catch the most of the stream. You can catch this on VOD. It's going to be up probably in a week or so on Onyx Path's YouTube page. I'm going to be putting up the actual play I'm doing, Family Feud, up on my YouTube page probably either tomorrow or the day after. The first episode, at least. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, there will be the Family Feud episode 2. You don't have to watch the first episode to get an idea of what's going on. Premise is essentially that the players are trying to negotiate peace talks amongst different families, and they just secured the location, so now the next episode they are going to be talking to each of the families to try and convince them to come to the peace talks. Thank you all for watching. I need a glass of water, and I hope you all have a good night. Don't forget to back Curseborne if you haven't already. $5, you can check out all the manuscripts that are currently out and the manuscripts that are going to come out soon. I myself backed at the at the hardcover copy version, which I'm really excited about, but I also got myself a nice set of Curseborne dice because I really like custom dice. Right now we are at $147,000, and our next stretch goal is at the 150 mark, which gives us more stuff for the Tangled Web, which is going to be a supplement. We're going to add story seeds for each location, building on its urban legends and mysteries included in the incidents. All backers will receive the PDF as one of their rewards, and all backers receiving the Curseborne PDF as one of their rewards will automatically receive the Tangled Webs PDF as a bonus reward. It was asked if it possibly is going to have a physical release, but it's probably going to be print on demand, but that's just an assumption. But I think having the PDF is a good thing. After that, there is the virtual tabletop token set, which I really like, especially if there's a lot of character art in the book. Usually the token sets are like a few bucks or so. If you do back though, you're going they're going to be given to all backers, it says, not just PDF people. That's awesome. In case, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good one. I'm the Awkward GM Corbin. You can find me at the Awkward GM Corbin on YouTube. I should put that in there. And we will go to pre-roll and maybe raid someone. Be a little gremlin going into other people's channels.